you go on a first date with a guy and he asks to split the bill, or he doesn't immediately pay, would that be an ick for you? Would that turn you off them?
That would be a huge ick for me. Yes.
Yeah. So even for you, it would be?
Yes. Yes.
If you went on a first date with a guy and he didn't pay?
Yes.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Why?
It's hard to articulate because, and this is what people, will say, all women will say of all ages. I think for my age, we grew up with that was the expectation. I think for younger generations, maybe it's not the expectation, but I think a lot of people still like it or want it. There's something about it that says, I really valued our time together. I care. I'm interested. It's a way of signaling interest. But I think even if the person isn't interested and you're never going to see each other again, it's just a nice gesture. But I don't have any rational way of explaining why. And if I were to get rational about it, I would talk myself out of it.
Yes. I think that's a very honest answer. And then the counter sort of rebuttal to that means, okay, so if men are expected to pay, then we're going to need more money.
Yes. Yes. And it gets very expensive to date.
Yeah. Really
it does.
expensive.
I mean, people will say, oh, you can go on a hike. It doesn't cost anything. You can do a picnic. You can, watch a movie. There are all kinds of things you can do. But the reality is, it's kind of like, I remember that old Chris Rock joke, in the first 3 months of a relationship, you're not you, you're the ambassador of you. So, you want to impress somebody. You're trying to show interest in somebody. But I do think there's that really primal need for safety that is gender-based, that we don't like to talk about or acknowledge, but that I think women really, if somebody doesn't pay on a first date, if a guy doesn't pay on a first date, I think a lot of women don't feel safe. That's what it comes down to.
It's a tricky world, and it's getting increasingly trickier, it feels,
It feels like an insult almost that the person doesn't pay.
Not many people. Some people would, but no one would really publicly say that, though, because it's like not socially acceptable to say that you expect them to say. But in private conversations, of course, everyone I know is that if they went on a date with a man, so in a heterosexual relationship, and the man either asked to split the bill or suggested that you might pay, this person's not going to get a second date.
Of course not. No. Unless it was the woman who said, oh no, let me split that with you. But if it was his decision, and he said, oh, let's split this, or he put it in the middle. No. I in therapy, the young woman came to me recently and she said she went out with this guy and they went to a cafe and they got coffees. And he asked her to split it, coffee. And she said, and she was having so much fun on the date until the bill came. And she was shocked. And she thought, okay, well, it was very personal to her. At first she thought, he must really, really have had a horrible time with me to want to not pay for my $5 coffee. And then he asked her out again. And she said to me, I don't understand this at all. So he was interested in me and he didn't pay for my coffee. And she did not go out with him again. So these are the kinds of signals that it very much is emblematic of something. Who pays on that first date?
Do you agree with that decision that she made?
100%. And I mean, I didn't say that as her therapist. It's really about understanding it for her. But I do agree with that decision. And I think it's because there's something like a half note off about a person who doesn't even see that it's a $5 coffee and you're interested in this person. And she wasn't making any moves to pay. She was just sitting there for a very long time. And she said, this is the way she told the story, was that the person came around and a couple times and said, are you ready? And the guy said, oh no, we're not ready yet. And then at a certain point he said to her, oh, do you want to put your credit card down, right? To her. And so she just said, I could never go out with somebody like that, even though they had a really good time before that.
So if we zoom back out then, so are you saying that is a telltale sign of a broader character issue that this individual has? Because earlier you said that we really should be focusing on like character traits. Is that a red flag of some kind of other character trait?
I think that when things are hard in the beginning, that's not a good sign. So I think that when there's like a big disconnect in the beginning, that you should pay attention to that. So a big disconnect is not the example I gave earlier of, he said yes to the tap water. That's different from he didn't pay for my coffee. That's different. The tap water might be, oh, I don't know. Is he cheap? I don't know. Let's see. Let me get to know him better. This is about generosity. They're different things. And so, I feel like relationships, I always say to people when they overlook things in the beginning, I think there are two camps on this. There's the people who think everything is a red flag. That's not, like the tap water, not a red flag. But there are people who don't pay enough attention to the red flags in the beginning. So they say, yes, this person, they kind of disappeared for a couple days and I didn't like that. And, or they're late all the time, or, whatever it is. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a deal breaker, but it's kind of a flag that you want to discuss early on. So what happens is if you don't discuss it is a person will say, after they're in a relationship and they've been dating for several months and they're moving along, and the person says, I can't stand it when you're late every time. And he says, why is this a problem? I've always been late. Why is this a problem now? Right? So if you bring it up early before the cement dries. So, I always say relationships are like cement, that there's room for things to move in the beginning before things kind of really get hard and difficult to change. But once the cement dries, it's much harder to change those habits or those interactions or the dance that you're doing with the other person. So if you don't like something in the beginning, you might want to bring it up to see how much wiggle room is there here. Can this person be more aware of being on time? Because I don't like sitting there for half an hour every time we make plans.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a old school romantic, as they say. My partner, she has a great job. She has her own money. But I just absolutely feel the need to open up every door for her, pay for every bill for her. I would absolutely not have it any other way. Maybe that's because I'm insecure or something. I don't know. But I watch my dad do it for my mum. And it's like hardwired into my DNA that my role is to protect, take care of, do everything I can to support. And if I'd really struggle with her paying for me. And she's got her own money. She's got her own business, her own job.
But have you talked about it, or it just worked out that way? She never said, can I pay this once, or can I?
Yeah. She pays. It's like a bit of a competition. She'll like sneak off to the bathroom and pay and stuff.
I'm raising a boy who is now 18 years old. And even things like, does he still pay? He always wants to pay on a date. And then some people don't like that. And he thinks, well, I'm just being sort of chivalrous, or, but there are all these ways in which you don't know sort of like what is expected of you. So it's like, if he pays, then some people take offense. If he doesn't pay, then some people take offense, and he just doesn't know what to do. Like how much of these things that I feel are being sort of the role of a man in a nice way, like protecting, taking care of, will be offensive to some people because they see it as kind of a power dynamic.
So what is the role of a man?
It's really unclear. I mean, that's the thing. And I think that it really needs to be discussed. And that's where I think there's hope, is that when people can actually say, hey, I'd really like to pay on this date. And, if she says, well, I don't feel comfortable with that, I think a question is, okay, that's fine. We can split it. But let's talk about why. And to be able to talk about, what does this mean that I pay? What does that mean to you? I think a lot of people would say, oh, well, it means like, that you expect something back from me. You expect, that we're going to have sex, or you expect, whatever these
control,
old ideas are.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to be having these conversations. That's my point, is that it's not so important that we know what it means. It's more important that we know what it means to the person that we are interested in. What does it mean to them? It's going to mean something different to everybody. So if we can't talk to this person that we're interested in about what it means, then both people are going to be mired in confusion.